Hey everybody, in this video I'm going to be discussing my Frostgrave 2nd edition warband that's themed after the movie Monty Python and the Holy Grail. Hey everybody, I'm Alan with Bricks and Blocks Gaming, the channel that plays tabletop games using toy bricks and blocks and discusses the rules and strategies that build the foundation for those games. Be sure to check the description box below where you'll find timestamps for this video as well as links to some of my other Frostgrave content. When you're building a warband for the game of Frostgrave, focusing the warband on power and efficiency is a practical way to build them. However, it can be a lot of fun to instead create your warband based around characters from stories, or to choose spells that really seem to make sense for the specific feel you're going for with your spellcasters. And since Frostgrave is based around the very unpredictable 20-sided die, sacrificing some strengths in exchange for theme will often be well worth the added enjoyment you'll get when your figures are more than just models and math equations, but become characters in the narrative that you're creating. So I'll be explaining why I'm not going to be using Tim the Enchanter as my wizard, how I picked my soldier types, the theme behind my spell selection, the strategies I'll be using, and whether this will be a viable warband. So let's get to the bricks and blocks of my Monty Python and the Holy Grail themed Frostgrave warband. The most obvious way to build a warband themed after this movie would be to create an enchanter named Tim the Enchanter. And while Tim will be a member of my warband, he's just going to be one of my soldiers. Instead, my wizard will be King Arthur, and I'll be focusing on his quest to find the Holy Grail. The first knight to join Arthur on his adventures was Sir Bedivere, and these two stayed side by side throughout their quests, so Bedivere will be my apprentice. For soldiers, Sir Lancelot the Brave is a barbarian, because can you get any more barbaric than running through a wedding party, slashing guests left and right? Probably not. Sir Galahad the Pure is currently a man-at-arms because he always seems to have a shield with him, and I'll later upgrade him to a knight because he seems like the most knightly of any of the characters. Sir Robin, the not quite so brave as Sir Lancelot, is a thief that will later be upgraded to a treasure hunter because he needs to be fast so that he can bravely run away. Brave Sir Robin's minstrel, who is a thug for now, will for obvious reasons later be upgraded to a bard, a soldier type found in the Thaw of the Lich Lord supplement. Arthur's servant Patsy is a thief because he's always running around and hauling things for King Arthur. For Tim the Enchanter, I figured a ranged soldier would make sense for him because Tim shot things from his staff and caused minor explosions to pop up around him. So he will be a tracker because as well as having a bow to make his minor explosions, trackers carry a staff. The last two members of the warband are Sir Bors and Sir Gawain. These two are only briefly mentioned in the movie when they're killed by the rabbit of Caerbannog, and they will both be thugs. Since most of the characters in this warband are important to the theme, if any of the soldiers or spellcasters die, I'll be using the same minifigures to represent the characters when I replace them in my warband. I'll just say they got better. Although it was fun creating these figures and selecting soldier types that fit well with the characters that they represent, the truly thematic part about this warband is in its spell selection. King Arthur will be of the witch school, and while that's not very thematic by itself, it allows me to pick the thematic spells I need for the warband. My original inspiration for this warband came one day when I was looking through my daughter's Lego stuff and found a Lego rabbit figure. As such, King Arthur and Sir Bedivere's first witch spell will be Animal Companion. Each spellcaster is allowed to have one animal companion, so the first one summoned will be none other than the Killer Rabbit of Caerbannog. It'll count as a snow leopard for game purposes because that allows it to move fast around the battlefield. And the second animal companion they get will be the legendary Black Beast of Arg, which I built using some of my son's Lego bricks, and I think looks ridiculous. And this fiend will count as a bear. When these companions join the warband, they'll take the places of Sir Bors and Sir Gawain, because neither of those two lived to tell people about these two creatures. Their next spell is Familiar. They'll be using this to call African swallows to bring them coconuts, because King Arthur learned in the movie that African swallows are apparently strong enough to carry coconuts around. Their last witch spell will be Mud, based on the scene where King Arthur is repressing peasants who are collecting lovely filth. And the reason it slows figures down is they're too busy collecting the stuff to just run past. For their aligned spells, King Arthur knows the Possess spell from the Summoner's School, which they plan to cast on their rabbit, because it was definitely possessed by something. Perhaps the most obvious choice for a thematic spell is Grenade from the Enchanter's School, so the spellcasters can lob holy hand grenades of Antioch around the battlefield. One of the most iconic scenes from the movie is the fight with the Black Knight, so to represent that, from the Necromancer's School they've taken Ray's Zombie, which will instead call forth the Black Knight. And since I'm using Lego figures, anytime the Black Knight is resummoned after falling in combat, I'll be removing a limb to show how the injury was just a flesh wound. And I made sure to use the same Lego head for all 3 of my characters that are played by John Cleese in the movie. For their 2 neutral spells, they know the Chronomancer spell Fast Act, which lets soldiers immediately take their action. I felt this represented the part where Sir Lancelot charged at Swamp Castle, appearing far away multiple times, then suddenly being right at the castle's doorstep. Their last spell is the new Bridge spell, and it's there as a shout out to the Bridge of Death scene near the end of the movie. After my Knights of the Round Table finish their first battle, they'll be setting up their base in Camelot, of course. And since this is a place of singing, dancing, and general silliness, it'll count as a brewery. For their strategy, since King Arthur's quest is to find the Holy Grail, and since I use treasure tokens with a golden goblet to easily distinguish my central treasure tokens from the others, this warband's main goal is to get to and secure the centralized treasure token. As far as the warband's general playstyle, their first plan is to always send Sir Lancelot the Brave into combat, because sometimes he just gets carried away. The servant Patsy will always try to get to and carry off the closest treasure, because carrying King Arthur's things is what he does. Sir Robin and his minstrel will always travel together, and I'll have them attempt to pick up a treasure token, so they can bravely run away, sacrificing the minstrel as needed, of course. Sir Galahad, who I've always felt is possibly the noblest of all the characters in the movie, will serve wherever he's needed, and Tim will just shoot fireballs or arrows around the battlefield. For spellcasting, besides possessing their animal companions and charging them into battle, they'll try to keep the Black Knight constantly hobbling around should he receive any flesh wounds, and they'll be littering the battlefield with lovely filth and holy hand grenades of Antioch. Even though I was far more concerned with theme than power, I think this warband will function quite well. They have some strong spells and some good options to help them in a variety of different situations. So be sure to watch them in their first battle, which will be in the Ice Storm scenario. That's all for this video. I am curious though what kind of thematic builds some of you may have made, and how well or poorly they did in combat. So let me know in the comments below. And also, let me know if there's any other spells or things that you think would have worked well for this Monty Python and the Holy Grail themed warband. I want to thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, feel free to click like, add a comment, or subscribe so you can keep up with all the content that I'm releasing. And with that, I'm Alan with Bricks and Blocks Gaming, and I'll see you on the next video.